Good evening and welcome to Monday, February 23rd meeting of St. John Common Council. And as always, we start our meeting with a land acknowledgement, and tonight Councillor Paula Radwan will read that. So over to you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. The land on which the city of St. John or Mediquest is situated is a traditional territory of the Wolastoqey. The Wolastoqey, along with their Indigenous neighbors, the Mi'kmaq and Pasquotomakati, signed peace and friendship treaties with the British Crown in the 1700s that protected their lands, their rights to lands and resources. Let us pause and reflect on that.
Okay, thank you so much, Councillor. City Clerk, over to you for the next item.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next on the agenda, we have a few sets of minutes to approve. So the first one is item 2.1, minutes of February the 5th.
Minutes of February the 5th. I'll need a motion to approve them. Councillor Darling and Councillor, I'm looking for the hands over there.
Second.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, city.
And next is 2.2, Your Worship, minutes of February the 9th.
Minutes of February 9th.
So moved.
The Deputy and Councillor Darling on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
And lastly, 2.3, minutes of February 17th.
Minutes of February 17th. It's Councillor Stewart.
Second.
And the Deputy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
And next we have approval of the agenda. There is one addition from Committee of the Whole, and that would be for recommended appointments to committees, which would be item 17.1.
17.1. Okay, nominating. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of nominating the Deputy. Councillor Lowe on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
And next is disclosures of conflict of interest, if we have any.
Not seeing any. Next item.
And next is the consent agenda.
Deputy, over to you for the consent, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would move 5.1 through to 5.6, please.
Take a seconder on that. Councillor Lowe. Councillor Sullivan, over to you with the question.
I'd like to pull 5.4.
5.4. We'll pull 5.4. Okay, so we'll do.
We'll move 5.1 to 5.3 and 5.5 and 5.6.
6. Okay.
I'd like to speak to 5.5, please.
5.5. But who seconded that the last time? Councillor Lowe, you were the seconder on it. You good with that? We'll pull 5.4. We're going to change that. You're going to speak to 5.5. Over to you.
I can now. Anyways, I spoke to the people regarding from the public library, mainly about the one out east. And I know this is a recommendation to the CEO, but I really think it's a very, very serious problem because they're called a free library, and what's going on in them is really causing problems. So I would like them not take it serious, but I'd like to see if there's something we can do to help them for sure. And it is referred to the CAO, so I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a provincial institution. It has been referred over to the CAO, so we'll see what he comes back with. So we've got the motion on the floor. Any other comments on items? I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. So City Clerk, 5.5 will go to number
14.1, Your Worship.
14.1, 5.5. Okay. All right. Next item.
5.4, Your Worship.
5.4. Oh, yeah, sorry. 5.4 moving to.
I had that noted, Your Worship. So 5.4 becomes 14.1 now.
Okay, thank you. All right, City Clerk, next item.
And next we're at number 6, members' comments.
Members' comments for anyone? Councillor Radwan, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. First of all, the congratulations to the Chinese Association in St. John. It was absolutely incredible. Deputy and I were at the New Year. It was absolutely incredible. The performances were unbelievable this year. I was so impressed. It was lots of fun. I also wanted to wish anybody who's celebrating Ramadan Mubarak. I actually will have to delay it, council and staff, but I have a treat that I'll be bringing for you at the next meeting when we're in person, something that you would probably see on most Middle Eastern tables. So we'll do that later on. But I did want to mention, of course, this month of Ramadan, people are fasting from sunup to sundown. Why do Muslims celebrate the month? It was actually revealed, the Quran was actually revealed during this month. So it's considered a very holy month amongst Muslim people. And so it's always very interesting. If you get invited for iftar, I highly encourage you to go and attend the breaking of the fast. But I also kind of made a misstep the last meeting, Mayor. Usually I talk about Black History Month. I like to recognize somebody that was really inspirational in the Black community. And this time I decided to pick somebody who's still with us and is very active, Ralph Tiger Thomas. So Ralph was actually a boxing champion who founded the Golden Gloves Club in 1968. He co-founded, or actually he did found Prude Inc. And so Prude does all sorts of great anti-racism initiatives. They have so many things that they do, but one of my favorite initiatives they do is they do a women's leadership program that helps women to get empowered into work and education and all sorts of other things. And then he co-founded the New Brunswick Black History Society, and I actually happened to go on a tour with them this last year, and it was absolutely incredible to see all of the sites that were so important in Black history in St. John. So anyway, hats off, and thank you very much, Ralph, for everything that you've done for the community over the years. I find him so inspirational, and he's just a joy to talk to. So that's it, Mayor, for me. Thank you, Councillor. You're right about Ralph Thomas. He is a driving force, and he's done a wonderful job. And I'm going to pile on with that. It's still February, so it's still Black History Month. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out on Netflix, is the Ed Sullivan Show. It's called, and it's great because it's how Ed Sullivan broke the color barrier by booking artists on his Sunday night variety show. And this documentary spotlights the pioneering legacy of equality, and he was that was in the 60s, the 50s and 60s that he was there. So it would have been the first time that the Jackson 5 would have been on a white variety show. Dionne Warwick, James Brown, Gladys Knight and the Pips. And Motown got started around then in 59 with an $800 loan. And they became Motown. They were Hitsville USA at first, and they became Motown. So it's been quite a journey. And Ed Sullivan, we don't think about him. We watched him every Sunday night, but we never thought about him breaking that color barrier. So on Netflix and on PBS this month, there'll be all kinds of Black history documentaries. So they're definitely worth watching. So I'll add that as well. Thank you. I don't see any more hands, do I? Hard to see on all the screen for comments. So we'll move to the next item. City Clerk.
Thank you. Next, we have a proclamation, item 7.1, Amyloidosis Awareness Month.
Okay, whereas March is Amyloidosis Awareness Month, a month dedicated to raising awareness, funding research, and supporting those living with amyloidosis and their loved ones. And whereas amyloidosis is a group of diseases that occurs when an abnormal protein, known as amyloid, builds up in the tissues and the organs of the body. If left untreated, the disease can result in organ failure, which can be fatal. And whereas amyloidosis can mimic the signs and the symptoms of more common medical conditions, and the disease can be challenging to diagnose. And whereas amyloidosis often affects people who are older or middle-aged, however, younger people have been diagnosed with the disease as well. And whereas some of the signs and symptoms of amyloidosis can include shortness of breath, weight loss, fatigue, swelling of the ankles and legs, numbness of the hands and feet, foamy urine, carpal tunnel syndrome, bruising around the eyes and enlarged tongue, And whereas early diagnosis can lead to better outcomes for both patients and their families. And whereas raising awareness about all the amyloidosis diseases, including hereditary and non-hereditary forms of the disease, can contribute to the building of healthier communities across Canada. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Donna Node Reardon of St. John, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as Amyloidosis Awareness Month in the City of St. John. Next item, City Clerk.
Next is item 8.1. We have a presentation scheduled, and this is in regard to Stompin Tom statue.
Okay, so we have some guests on here this evening, and I am welcoming Greg Hemmings. I can't see you though, Greg, yet. Oh, there you are. So Greg, this is very interesting. It's super exciting, and I'm going to pass this over to you, and you're going to introduce your guest to us and tell us a little bit about your project.
Well,
Jason
thank you
Green's
so
on with you as well.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a star-studded cast
see
here,
that.
Your Worship. So thank you so much, Your Worship, and council members for the opportunity for us to present tonight. Obviously, we wanted to be there in person because we actually prepared one wicked live show for you tonight, but obviously we couldn't because of the snow. But we're going to do the very best that we can in this virtual environment. So all I want you to do is imagine yourself with several other St. John expats in the Horseshoe Tavern in Toronto circa 1973 with a Moosehead lager in your glass to see Stompin Tom Connors on stage singing a few songs about our hometown of St. John. Now, to actually make this a little bit more manifest into reality, I'm going to invite to the stage published author, award-winning musician, top 20 globally best Elvis Presley tribute artist, no kidding, traditional New Brunswick and Miramichi folklorist, CBC contributor, and Stompin Tom tribute artist, Mike Bravner. Mike, are you here? Stompin Mike, Mike Bravner.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Your Worship and councillors. And tonight, I'd like to sing for you an original song that I wrote called The Ode to Stompin Tom in tribute of St. John's own Stompin Tom Connors, and I hope you enjoy it. In these times of trouble and uncertainty, there's a cry across the land for pride and unity. From the east to the west and all places in between, Stompin Tom, he sang his songs of Canada strong and free. Oh, can you feel the pulse of his boot upon the ground? The rhythm of love, a heartfelt stomping sound. Big Joe Muffer on an old flat-top guitar, and Bud the Spider muck tuck, and he remind us of who we are. Black cowboy hat and a passion for our land. Every town and city from BC to Newfoundland, he lived and died telling our stories with a twinkle in his eye, and a plywood board beneath his foot bring a tear to your eye, or one rolling down your leg. Hey, dee 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 dee. Sang us his songs of his old New Brunswick home, a reverse and falls darling and an ode to the road. Roll on Saskatchewan, we'll sing the ketchup song, 'cause Mary go get the car go by, and Rebber Hood sang along. Luke's guitar is strumming out a gumboot cloggeroo, but he's to it and added to it, singing the St. John blues. Inherit the wind as we cheer our team along every Saturday night while we sang the hockey song. Well, in these times of trouble and uncertainty, there's a cry across the land for pride and unity. From the east to the west and all places in between, Stompin Tom, he sang his songs of Canada strong and free. Stompin Tom, he sang his songs of the true North strong and free.
Well, thank you very much. That was
Well,
wonderful. Our
you're
viewers are
welcome.
this entertaining.
Yeah, a little bit of entertainment tonight. Of course, Stompin Tom, St. John's own, became a Canadian folk music icon. Going to turn it over now to Jason McLean, and Jason is no stranger to City Council. He's a huge culture and a community advocate. He was the guy that got the St. John skate park and place, and also was key and instrumental that St. John, you've proclaimed the second Saturday in August as Stompin Tom Day. And so I'm going to turn it over to Jason at this time.
All right, Jason, over to you. I think it's called the All Wheels Park now, isn't it?
I think so. Yes, it's so happy to see it well used, and thank you for your ongoing support, Your Worship. Councillors, thank you. I mean, without question, we can all probably agree that Stompin Tom is a very significant artist, probably one of the most significant Canadian artists in history, and also a son of St. John, born in St. John. And it's definitely time that his legacy's honored in the form of a statue to begin with. We need the spirit of Tom now more than ever. He relentlessly represented Canada since the beginning of his songwriting career. He highlighted and championed every nuance of this country and its people. And he definitely defined every corner of Canada in song and presented its citizens as the gold standard on international stages. So that's largely why we're involved in this. And I also want to take this time to introduce another partner in this project is Scott Gauguin. And Scotty is a community leader, a professional musician, a creator of the Maggie Vale project, known also for his wedding proposal that was on Leno, and the founder of Christmas Christmas with the Cops charity concert series. So Scotty.
All right, Scott, over to you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Jay. That was great. Welcome, everyone. If you can feel that emotion, what's going on right now, that pride, that sense of Canadian oomph, this is what it's about. It's just rediscovering our city, find out, show the world where we come from, what St. Johners are and what we're capable of. There's other people that could be so celebrated, but we're really excited about our visitors coming to our city and what's in St. John. Well, we can show you, and this is what St. John has done, and this is where we can go, and just have that community pride, and let St. Johners know, like, you could, I'm not going to say you could go and become Canadian famous, internationally famous, but you started from here. You get your talent, you get your, where you were born, it creates you, and we just want to celebrate that. We want to celebrate the fact that Canadian recognizes a St. John and goes, a St. Johner, and says, this is what St. John sounds like. This is what Canada sounds like. And we're just looking for a nice opportunity to have people meet, discuss, and celebrate. And we're really excited about that. This has gained attention on CBC. We've been contacted by other provinces, other people wanting to work, want to be part of this. People are excited. If I can share a quick email from a 92-year-old lady. Betty Hall wrote us and said, Stompin Tom created Canada in a way no one else could, coast to coast. I'm 92 years old. I saw him perform in Toronto with his piece of plywood in the 1960s and felt very proud. He should be recognized in the city where he was born. If Sudbury can do it, so can St. John. And that's the spirit. We just want to continue that pride. And he's ours. He came from here. And we need to celebrate the people that have gone out and made a difference in the world. I agree. So we do have some mock-ups. We have met with an artist. If Greg is able to. So this is the mock-up that we received from Newfoundland artist Morgan McDonald. Mr. McDonald was commissioned to do the fallen 3 statues of the RCMP members in Moncton that lost their life. So he had mocked this up. Here, and the statue you're seeing here is the one in Sudbury. We're looking, but if you can see the statue in very different locations in St. John, that I enjoy this one. Right off the ships, come down the old barber store, come find out who Tom is, discuss. We're just really hoping that we can get people involved. Like, everybody wants to come forward and be a part of this, and we need we need help. We need to take all this enthusiasm and channel it in and get this done for our city. I believe that. I'm going to hand it back to Mike Bravner. Explain a little bit more.
All right. So just to give you an example of how this passion is catching on, while we were meeting and while I was singing the song that I wrote for Stompin Tom, his wife Lena just wrote me and said, Mike, I want to wish you all the best of luck for tonight. So Lena is Stompin Tom's wife, and she's still alive, and she has given her full blessing to this project for St. John. And she actually has a close connection with St. John. She's writing me now, so I'm just watching her notes come in, as she had a daughter that was born in St. John. So that's that personal connection. Someone came up to, I think it was Greg, and handed him $80 and said, look, I'm going to contribute to this. There you go. There it is. So it's real people all across Canada, young and old, that get the excitement of Canadian unity. And when I think of Canadian unity, I think of Stompin Tom and his songs, because music just brings us all together. Why this year? What was it that got this year particularly for us inspired? Well, Stompin Tom was born in St. John, right near where City Hall is, where the Aquatic Center is, and he traveled all over the south end of St. John. I spent so many of my teenage years in the south end of St. John, but he was born in 1936 on February the 9th. So Stompin Tom would be turning 90 years old this year if he was still alive. And we just feel it's really time for the people of the world who visit the city of St. John on those great big cruise ships, for other New Brunswickers, for St. Johners to recognize that this man whose song, the hockey song, is being inducted into the National Hockey League Hall of Fame this year, is born in St. John. He spent his early years, probably up to the year age 11 or 12, in St. John, spent time in the orphanage, tried school, went to vocational school there on the, going on towards the west side. He's St. John's own. And I'm surprised at how many New Brunswickers don't recognize this national hero icon is born in St. John, New Brunswick. We are St. John proud of Stompin Tom Connors. And our goal is to hit for October, because the New Brunswick Country Hall of Fame has their annual services, their big celebrations in October. We just feel to coincide with all of that would be wonderful. So at this time, back to you, Greg.
Yeah, and I'm very cognizant of time, and we're running out of it, but we're going to get right to the ask. Our goal is you're going to love this one, councillors, no cost to the city and taxpayer tribute to Stompin Tom. We're going to do the heavy lifting of trying to raise money for this thing. Following the statue's completion, we're going to establish a permanent endowment fund with the Greater St. John Community Foundation. We've been talking to Kelly about this, very excited to make this work. And that's going to help us cover the ongoing maintenance, repairs, and future enhancements. Consistent with the existing endowment fund that the Naval Memorial at Harbor Passage has. So we've done a little bit of research about how the city has been involved previously in ways that bring minimal long-term liability to the city. And in the short term, we are talking with the foundation as well to figure out how we can work with them and with the city to find ways to be able to accept donations. So our very first step in this process is to get the blessings of council, and then we will be quickly jumping into that the next stage with the foundation and of course with the city to figure out how we can get that next step going. So that is the ask. I'm quickly going to send it over to Jay and then Mike to wrap it up. Jay, top it off.
Like Greg said, the thing is, we're going to raise the money. We're going to oversee the project. We just really want your blessing and excitement of this project and the council to really honor Tom, and then also help us find and secure the right location so that we can prominently place the statue. And also to work with us in partnership with the St. John Community Foundation. And, I mean, that's really our ask. And we're going to do a lot of, like Greg said, all the heavy lifting, but we want you to be one of our key partners.
Sounds good. Okay, so what I would like to do, and I've got a few councillors' hands are up, but the CEO has a motion that he would present for us. So I'm going to get him to present the motion, and then if I get a mover and a seconder, we'll get that, and then we can get the questions or comments on the floor, and then we'll vote on it. So can I go over to you, CAO, for the motion? Listen, you guys have us all excited. You've got staff excited. You've got us excited. So, everything is happening already.
Well, we've got $80. Literally, this
Well, yeah,
came from a random lady who's like, I want you to have this $80.
Real
I need a place to put it.
Yes. Okay, CAO, can I go to you first?
Absolutely. Through your worship, members of council, I could offer maybe a suggested recommendation that might meet council's objectives this evening. And I would suggest that the recommendation also include council's civic commemoration standing committee. That's a committee of council whose membership includes 5 members from the public and 2 councillors. And this committee's mandate is in the terms of reference, which includes the establishment and maintenance of monuments on public land. So the proposed recommendation would be, number 1, that Common Council support in principle the Stompin Tom Connor statute project submitted and presented by Hemmings House. Number 2, Common Council refer the proposed statute to the Civic Commemoration Standing Committee for guidance and feedback. And number 3, Common Council direct staff to work with Hemmings House to identify options for an appropriate site for the project.
Perfect. I love it. So can I get a mover on that? That the deputy, seconder? You have to speak up, whoever's the seconder. I don't have all the screens.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so now before we'll go to the question, I've got a few hands up. I know I see Councillor Radwan's. Who else has their hands up?
Councillor Killen was first.
Okay, all right. Councillor Killen, over first.
Thank you, Your Worship. The way I sobbed during that song, like, oh my God, I don't think that the world needed a song more like that than they do right now. So thank you for sharing that with us, because yeah, the world is hard, and Stompin Tom is still here through you and with the spirit of that. So I love that. I hope it's a big part of this launch and where it goes. And I'm so thrilled to be sitting here to get to support such an important moment in St. John music history, because I can say Jason McLean is on a Christmas album that was done 20 years ago with a bunch of St. Johners with my old band, Port City All-Stars. And we've been troubadouring throughout the years, both of you two, in the music scene. So it's really cool to see you here today to make this come to light. So very much appreciate this.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Radwan, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, guys, for this. This is wonderful and really exciting. And I appreciated the music. Absolutely. I second what Joanna said. Jason, I do want to just quickly mention that we are putting over $100,000 into that skate park this year. Nice little thing I was happy to push. Greg, we're, I think as a St. John High alumni, there's so many people very proud of you. But I wanted to ask you guys if you do have a site in mind that is preferred for the Civic Commemoration Committee to kind of consider. I know you had some examples, and I've kind of thought, like, should the growth team look at this too?
Well, I think they need to work with, like it is in the motion, to work with staff, because some sites, it depends on what needs to be done. If there's lighting or anything, some of those sites that we would have may have easements on them. They may have infrastructure underneath them. I don't know. So I think probably the best thing would be to leave that to your team, to work with the city's team to figure out what that space is.
We just want heavy traffic.
Yeah,
heavy traffic.
You showed a lot of spaces where it would be, in the clips, where it would be great in any of those spaces. So, so I'm excited to see what comes out of it as well.
One more quick question, Greg. I was wondering if there was anything that you thought that should go hand in hand with this idea of a statue. Like, is there any thoughts of some sort of film or some sort of plaque or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, as I remembered when I put this application in, I talked about this big documentary idea, and then I realized that's not the picture. The picture is the statue. However, we have an opportunity at the statute have a QR code that will allow tourists. Think about how many Americans don't know Stompin Tom. They're coming off the cruise ships. Think about how many young St. Johners. Like my daughter tonight, she was like, "So who's Stompin Tom?" I was like, "What have I done?" So we've got an opportunity here to bring a fair bit of multimedia into it. It wouldn't be part of this first fundraise, mind you. However, you know, this is a natural CBC fit, so of course that's percolating in the back of my head. I also want to acknowledge that Dr. David Elias was hoping to be here tonight as well. He was unable at the end, but he gave his full support. He sees this as an amazing opportunity as a local developer, and he's got ideas, a project that he's got in his mind that would help guide people to wherever that statue is. You know, so I could see a lot of people coming out in helping, you know, bring this to life. And the other thing that we don't have within the scope of this first project is how many young people will be inspired to, like young musicians, to write songs about Canada. Like there's so many different things that can come out of this that are not in the first scope of this that we really want to see bear fruit.
Yeah, I encourage it. Think big, dream big. You've done big things, and keep going.
And one last thing I just want to say, if you don't mind, is years ago, Jason worked with the community foundation to set up the Stompin Tom fund, which is for single moms, of which Stompin Tom was here in St. John. I don't know if a lot of people in the city know that exists, but it very much does. It's like these endowment funds are incredible ways to keep legacy going. And so this is kind of a 2.0 of something that started many, many, many years ago.
That's great. That's interesting. Interesting piece of history as well. Yeah. Councillor Ogden, you had your hand up?
Yeah, Scotty, Jason, Michael, Greg, great idea. And Greg, I'm really, really proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ogden, my entrepreneur teacher of grade 10.
There you go.
Am I in trouble again?
Not tonight. Okay, so we've got the motion on the floor and it's been seconded. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Looks like you got a unanimous vote there. Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate it. Super.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, City Clerk, next question. Next item.
Thank you, Your Worship. So next on the agenda, we're under consideration of bylaws. So the first item is 10.1, and this is a municipal plan and zoning plan amendment for 0 Rex Hurley Boulevard and amend list of official street names.
Okay, sending this over to Commissioner Poffenroff for the intro, please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship and members of council. Before you for third reading this evening is a municipal plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment submitted by Brunswick Engineering for land located at 0 Rex Hurley Boulevard and 0 Glen Road. The application would redesignate a portion of PIDs 003027778 and 004200802 from rural resource area and park and natural area to stable area and stable residential, and would extend the boundary of the primary development area. It would also rezone these same lands from rural to mini home park zone. The application would allow for the expansion of the Glen Falls Mobile Home Park. The application received first and second reading on February 9th and is now before you for third reading. Yeva Matson, the planner on the file, is available if there's any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to go to the clerk for the motions that are required this evening. City Clerk.
Thank you. This one requires 5 motions because there's a municipal plan and zoning. So first would be to approve third reading for the municipal plan.
Okay, so we want to approve third reading by entirety?
By entirety, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Lowe. Councillor Radwan on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next motion. That's why I take a motion to, sorry.
Oh, I have to read it out, Your Worship.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so this is a law to amend the municipal plan bylaw. The municipal plan bylaw of the City of St. John enacted on the 30th day of January 2012 is amended by redesignating on Schedule A of the municipal development plan land having an area of approximately 5.5 hectares identified as a portion of PID 003027778 and 004-20802 from rural resource area and park and natural area to stable area. And number 2, to redesignating on Schedule B of the municipal development plan, land having an area of approximately 5.5 hectares identified as a portion of PID 003027778 and 004-20802 from rural resource and park and natural area to stable residential, and extending the boundaries of the primary development area PDA to include this land. And so now a third reading, a motion by title, Your Worship.
Third reading by title. Deputy and Councillor Killen on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the municipal plan bylaw. Next is the zoning bylaw. It requires third reading by entirety, third reading by title.
Third reading by entirety. The deputy and Councillor Sullivan on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
This is a law to amend the zoning bylaw of the City of St. John. The zoning bylaw of the City of St. John enacted on the 15th day of December 2014 is amended by 1, rezoning a parcel of land having an area of approximately 5.5 hectares identified as a portion of PID 003-02778 and 004-20802 from rural to mini home park on Schedule A zoning map of the City of St. John.
Okay, I take a motion to approve third reading by title. Councillor Lowe and Councillor Sullivan on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the zoning bylaw of the City of St. John. And one final motion on this one is for council to amend the list of official street names and approve the following changes to add the name Rue Creek Crossing Road.
Okay, I'll take a mover on the street name. Councillor Killen and the deputy on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next item, City Clerk.
And next is 10.2. It's a municipal plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, and subdivision agreement for 0 Summit/0 Clint Drive.
Okay, I'm handing this one over to Commissioner Poffenroff for the introduction as well.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before you this evening for third reading is a municipal plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment submitted by Oak Hill Homes for land located at 0 Summit Drive and 0 Clint Drive. The application would redesignate 18 hectares of land identified as a portion of PID 003-11126 from rural resource area and park and natural area to stable area and stable residential, and would extend the boundary of the primary development area. It would also rezone 2 hectares of this area from rural to low-rise residential. The municipal plan redesignation involves the development area for the overall expansion of the Lakewood Heights neighborhood, while the rezoning and subdivision approvals would be limited to Phase 1 only of the multi-phase project. Phase 1 would comprise of approximately 30 units, and further rezoning and subdivision approvals would be required for subsequent phases. The application received first and second reading on February 9th and is now before you for third reading. Again, Yeva Matson is here if there's any questions. Thank you.
Okay, I see Councillor Radbourne, you have a question for the planner, Yeva Matson.
Mayor, thank you. Actually, I have already talked to Eva today, but just for the sake of transparency, I wanted to share what we discussed. After the public hearing, I ended up getting a bit of a concerning message that somebody was not notified on Summit Drive in Riley, which is not that far away from the site. So I called staff and asked them about how many letters had been sent out. So they followed procedure, did the 100-mile meter radius.
100
meter, yeah, and there was 84 letters that went out. Sadly, because of of how, you know, far away people are or whatever. There was only 6 houses on Summit that actually got notification. There was some people on Hillcrest and Golden Grove that got notification. So I kind of rethought this whole thing again, personally, and you know, because the people were so thorough, and probably because of a Facebook post that was made very early, I'd first of all be very surprised if the neighbors did not hear about this. I got 2 emails that were opposing after the public hearing, and the people that had questions and concerns were really, really thorough. And I think that most things have been addressed. So I've decided to still be in favor of this, but just for the sake of transparency, there were so many issues that came up, asking about water, asking about traffic, asking about construction, the schools. Like, there were just so many things that I'd be surprised if anything new came up if this was restarted, which doesn't have to happen because staff did absolutely everything they were supposed to do. So I'm still in favor, but I just want to be transparent in what I did today to figure out, was everything done right? And it was. So
perfect.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Ogden, you couldn't vote on this last one, so we'll need you to turn your screen off while we do the voting. Thank you. So City Clerk, over to you for the motions. I don't see any other hands up. So over to you, City Clerk, for the motions.
Thank you. Yes, this is similar to last one. So it requires the same 5 resolutions. First, to approve municipal plan, 3rd reading by entirety, by title, same for zoning.
Okay, so first motion is to approve 3rd reading by entirety for the municipal plan amendment. I'll take Councillor Darling and Councillor Stewart on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the municipal plan bylaw. The municipal plan bylaw of the City of St. John, enacted on the 30th day of January 2012, is amended by 1, redesignating on Schedule A of the municipal development plan land having an area of approximately 18 hectares identified as a portion of PID 003-11126 from rural resource and park and natural area to stable area. Number 2, redesignating on Schedule B of the municipal development plan and having an approximate area of 18 hectares identified as a portion of PID 003-11126 from rural resource and park and natural area to stable residential, and extending the boundaries of the primary development area, PDA, to include this land.
Okay, thank you. So on the municipal plan amendment, I'll take a motion to approve 3rd reading by title. Councillor Darling and the deputy on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the municipal plan bylaw.
Okay, on the zoning bylaw amendment, I'll take a motion to approve 3rd reading by entirety. Councillor Lowe and Councillor Stewart on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the zoning bylaw of the City of St. John. The zoning bylaw of the City of St. John, enacted on the 15th day of December 2014, is amended by 1, rezoning a parcel of land having an area of approximately 2 hectares identified as a part of PID 003-11126 from rural to low-rise residential on Schedule A, the zoning map of the City of St. John.
Okay, and on the zoning bylaw amendment, I'll take a motion to approve 3rd reading by title. Councillor Sullivan and Councillor Stewart on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the zoning bylaw of the City of St. John.
Okay,
And there's
City
one
Clerk.
more motion, Your
Yep.
Worship, to approve a subdivision assent.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve a subdivision assent. Councillor Darling and Councillor Redwan on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that's number 10. Okay, City Clerk, next.
Next,
Next
we
item.
have, next we would return to an item from consent agenda. It's now 14.1 on the agenda, and it was 5.4, and this is for aerial fire resource MOU for Grand Bay Westfield.
Okay, before I do that, I want to just, Councillor Ogden is back on. Okay, so with this one, am I passing this off to Chief Nickel Or Councillor Sullivan, you pulled it, so we'll go back to you for that.
Sure. Just perhaps a question to Chief Nickel first. I just in general have a concern with our mutual aid, because we call it mutual aid, but I don't think it's mutual aid with the last time we had something like this before us, because we have expertise and equipment that our neighbors don't. Every once in a blue moon, when there's an emergency, we will go support our neighbors. But the mutual and mutual aid, if I remember the answer to my question last time, was we really wouldn't have them come in because they don't have the same expertise, to support a lot of the things that our firefighters would be dealing with. So I know with St. John Energy, like often energy workers are traveling to different jurisdictions in storms to support, and at the end of the year, they just do a true up of all the costs. So maybe I could hear from the chief on the mutual of the mutual aid, and so what kind of costs are getting covered or not covered, or what the quid pro quo is on this.
Chief Nickel, can I pass that over to you?
Yes, through your worship, to the councillor. Thanks for the question, councillor. The mutual aid is so it's a reciprocal relationship where if we have the same apparatus, for example, an engine or a tanker truck, where we would provide that to Grand Bay if they needed it, and on a reciprocal basis, they would provide that support for us as well. And we have had that. We track that, and part of the mutual aid agreement is to understand how much it goes to either side. And it is very much quite equitable in what we have. The difference with the aerial apparatus is they're not able to provide that reciprocal support because they don't have an aerial truck. In time of emergencies, we have, if there's a request, we would send that if it doesn't compromise our operational deployment within the city. It's very unlikely. But what this does is really provides the structure for if there is that ask. And so really the need for an aerial truck in Grand Bay Westfield would not be that great because of the size of the buildings. And there's a great deal of benefit of being able to use their training facility. They have a drafting pit and also a Class A burn structure that we don't have in the city of St. John. We have a Class B structure. So there is a great deal of value in being able to both train with Grand Bay Westfield, but also to use that different type of training. So that's the Class A is your wood, your normal combustibles, and Class B is propane based. So there are different types of fires, very effective, but when you are able to use both, you get a good mix of being able to use or to train for fires that you would encounter. So I hope that answers your question. Feel free. I can certainly give more clarification if you need.
Councillor?
No, thank you, Chief. That's very helpful. My concern just in general in this, and it really isn't particularly with this one agreement with Grand Bay Westfield, that is very helpful. It's more with the our overall position as the experts with more equipment, more professional firefighters, more expertise. And I really don't get the sense in mutual aid that it's necessarily as equitable as you say. Perhaps we can have a discussion later on, or if you can get some statistics for not a rush for a later time to show us how mutual the mutual aid is. But I think if in this case, you've demonstrated that the access to a training facility that we don't have, that's truing up enough for me. But in general, I just want to be careful that as a region, this region really should be perhaps a good RSC discussion, but it's not what we have in front of us right now. I'll just throw that out. Thanks, Chief. Appreciate your answer.
Oh, absolutely. And we can provide those statistics. And it is quite surprising, but I'll give you an accurate rundown of what that looks like.
Thanks, Chief.
Sounds good. That was good information, Chief. So thanks for being here for highlighting that for us. City Clerk, can I get you to read the motion?
Your Worship, it would be the motion that was in the kit. I don't have that at my fingertips, but it would be in everyone's agenda. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The motion is that the city enter into an MOU with the town of Grand Bay Westfield, generally in the form as attached MNC 2026-035, to establish a framework for aerial support during emergencies, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the said agreement and any documents ancillary thereto. So I need a mover and a seconder on that motion, please. Got Councillor Killen and Councillor Lowe on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
And next item came from Committee of the Whole. It would be the recommended appointments to committees, and I can quickly read those out. So
that'd be great.
The recommendations coming from Committee of the Whole are for the St. John Shared Risk Plan. It's to reappoint Andrew Green for a 3-year term effective April 5th. Fort Latour Development Authority to appoint Matthew Coleman for a 3-year term effective February 24th. Heritage Development Board to reappoint Melissa Wakefield for a 3-year term effective March 3rd. To appoint D. Stubbs Lee from effective February 24th. And to appoint Laura Weil effective June 27th. For a 3-year term. LBR to reappoint Mark Hughes for a 3-year term effective February 24th. Planning Advisory Committee to appoint Jordan Van Thiel for a 3-year term effective February 24th. Pro Kids to reappoint Hebatala Mohammed effective for a 3-year term effective February 24th. To reappoint Gary Crosman effective March 6th for a 3-year term. To appoint Jessica Sundblad and Rebecca Kernew, each for 3-year terms effective February 24th. Rockwood Park Endowment Fund to reappoint Jennifer Gogan effective for 3-year term effective February 24th. And to appoint Sheldon Gould for a 3-year term effective February 24th. St. John Community Arts Board to appoint Matt Hamilton Snow for a 3-year term effective February 24th. St. John Energy to reappoint Eric Poirier for a 3-year term effective February 24th.
Okay.
And to appoint Robert Bellevaux for a 3-year term effective March 13th. And to appoint Eleanor Marshall for a 3-year term effective March 25th. And the last one, St. John Public Free Library to reappoint Jill Davis LeBlanc and Emily Burke, each for 3-year terms effective February 24th.
Okay, I'll take a mover and a seconder on that, please. I got the deputy and I got Councillor Killen on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. All right, that looks like that's it, team. Over to you, Councillor Lowe, for the final motion of the night.
I move the meeting be adjourned.
Thank you. I'll put Councillor Radwan on as a seconder. Hunker down, everyone, and stay safe.